Stress is something that we deal with on a nearly daily basis. Whether it be school or work, it seems like stress is a daily encounter for some of us. Now, we all hear how there are healthy and unhealthy ways to deal with stress. But what can we do so that we can deal with stress in a healthy way every time we encounter stress? Let's hear the tale of two college students to help illustrate how our brain reacts to stress, as well as how we can learn to cope with stress in a healthy way. Rex and Elijah were roommates and were both in the same engineering class, and they happened to apply for the same scholarship. They looked at their calendar and they realized that they had a test in engineering tomorrow. They were both surprised and began panicking. Their amygdalas were the first to evaluate their fear and trigger the sympathetic response of arousal and send emotional information for their prefrontal cortex to evaluate. The sympathetic response caused their adrenal glands to secrete epinephrine, which is a hormone that causes physiological changes such as increased heart rate, sweating, and faster breathing. The prefrontal cortex evaluated the initial emotional information from the amygdala and made decisions as to how to proceed given the stressor. After the initial panic, Rex gathered himself together and reappraised the situation. He needed a good GPA to qualify for the scholarship, and he needed a decent grade on the test to raise his grade to a B. He still had a day to study, and he had finished all his homework and had no other classes to study for. Rex believed that he was able to deal with the stressor and developed a challenge response as a result. He believed that his physiological changes were resources that could help him deal with the stressor. This helped him turn his fear to confidence in his ability to prepare for the test. The challenge response allowed him to better regulate his psychological state, and he was able to reduce his sense of anxiety as a result. He decided to power off his laptop and phone to get rid of distractions. He gathered the materials he needed to study and drank a cup of coffee to help him focus. He also planned his study time so that he was able to get a full night's rest before the test. The next day, he was prepared for the test and did well. His test grade helped raise his GPA, which helped him get the scholarship. This experience was a reinforcement for Rex of the idea that if he reappraised his threat in a positive way, he would be able to deal with stressors more effectively and efficiently. Elijah, on the other hand, allowed his panic to overcome him and fell into despair. His engineering grade was a borderline C, and he needed a good GPA to qualify for a scholarship he hoped to get. He thought that there was no way he was able to study for all the material in just one day. In his state of depression, he decided to drink some booze and turn on his Xbox to take his mind off of the test tomorrow. He felt that since he was going to fail the test either way, he might as well enjoy himself a little. He gamed late into the night and woke up the next day both hungover and tired. He took the test in this disoriented state and ended up failing miserably. His GPA dropped as a result, and he did not qualify for the scholarship. What we learned from these two examples are that our perception of a stressor, whether as a challenge or as a threat, is a determining factor in how we deal with the threat. A lot of times we may feel helpless in certain situations, but many times this is just us letting our panic take over. If we spend the time and effort to reappraise the threat, we can deal with the stressor in a more efficient and more effective way, which will ultimately result in more successful results.